Harriet Tubman, the underground angel, in the early 1820s. On a quiet plantation in Dorchester County, Maryland, a baby girl was born into slavery. She was named Araminta Ross, but everyone called her Minty. The world she entered was one of chains and silence, where freedom was a word only whispered in the wind. But Minty would grow up to become Harriet Tubman, the most daring and legendary conductor of the Underground Railroad. A woman whose courage lit the path to freedom for hundreds. A childhood of chains, Minty's childhood was marked by cruelty and pain. She was hired out to work for neighboring families from the age of 6. One of her earliest tasks was babysitting, not playing with toys, but staying awake all night to keep a baby quiet. If the baby cried, Minty was whipped. She bore the scars on her back for the rest of her life. As she grew older, the punishments grew worse. One day, while helping a fellow enslaved man avoid capture, she was struck in the head by a heavy iron weight thrown by an overseer. The injury nearly killed her. For the rest of her life, she suffered from sudden blackouts and vivid visions. But she believed there were messages from God guiding her purpose. The road to freedom in 1844, Minty married a free black man named John Tubman and took his last name. She changed her name to Harriet in honor of her mother. But being married to a free man did not change her legal status. She was still enslaved. In 1849, fearing that she would be sold and separated from her family, Harriet made a decision that would change everything. She ran away, alone, with no map and no money. She followed the North Star through dense forests, across rivers, hiding by day and walking by night. She made the nearly 100-mile journey to Philadelphia, a free city. She later described the moment of her arrival. When I found I had crossed that line, I looked at my hands to see if I was the same person. There was such a glory over everything, but Harriet did not stay free for long. Freedom, she believed, meant nothing unless her people were free too. She went back. The Underground Railroad Harriet returned to the South, not once, not twice, but at least 13 times, risking her life on each trip to guide others to freedom. She used the secret network of safe houses and routes known as the Underground Railroad. She never lost a single passenger. She carried a revolver, not to harm anyone, but to threaten fearful escapees who might turn back and endanger the others. Harriet was tough, focused, and fearless. People began to call her Moses because, like the biblical figure, she was leading her people out of bondage. "I never ran my train off the track, and I never lost a passenger," she once said. Her missions grew bolder. She once led a group of 11 people all the way from Maryland to Canada. She disguised herself cleverly, sometimes as an old woman, sometimes carrying chickens to look harmless. Slave owners offered huge rewards for her capture, but no one ever betrayed her. The Civil War spy, when the Civil War broke out in 1861. Harriet saw it as a chance to fight slavery on a national scale. She became a spy, scout, and nurse for the Union Army. She slipped behind enemy lines, gathering intelligence and guiding troops through southern terrain. In 1863, she became the first woman in U.S. history to lead an armed military operation, the Combahee River Raid. She helped Union soldiers raid Confederate plantations in South Carolina. And over 750 enslaved people were freed in one night. Her bravery went beyond missions. In makeshift field hospitals, she cared for sick and wounded soldiers, using traditional herbal medicine and calming songs. Despite all this, she was rarely paid and often had to cover her own costs. Quiet heroes later years. After the war, Harriet settled in Auburn, New York, on land purchased with help from her friend and admirer, William H. Seward, Abraham Lincoln's Secretary of State. She adopted orphans, opened her doors to the poor, and even founded a home for elderly African Americans, a cause no one else had taken up. Despite living in poverty herself, she kept giving. In 1896, She was honored at the founding of the National Association of Colored Women. Later in life, she became a speaker at suffrage events, working alongside women like Susan B. Anthony, fighting for the right of women, especially black women, to vote. It's the final chapter in 1913. Harriet Tubman passed away at the estimated age of 91. Her last words were said to be, "I go to prepare a place for you." She died in the home she had founded, surrounded by those she had once saved. The girl, once born in chains, died as one of the most respected American heroes in history. It's the legacy of a Lionheart today. Harriet Tubman is remembered not just as an abolitionist or a war hero, but as a symbol of resistance, faith, and fierce compassion. Schools, ships, and soon a U.S. currency bill are named in her honor. Her story is not just about escape. It is about leadership, community, and fighting for justice, no matter the cost. In a time when freedom was rare and danger was everywhere, Harriet Tubman walked boldly into the shadows to bring others into the light. She was the underground angel, and she carried a lantern that still shines.